Hi kindergartners, it's Miss May, and I am so excited to share with you a video right now in honor of our ocean-themed weeks and ocean exploration. Because of all of the amazing questions that you guys had and I heard over the course of our ocean discovery, I decided to forward your questions to real ocean scientists that were so excited to give you some answers.
Hi, I'm Megzie Seipel. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the UC Santa Barbara, and I'm here to answer Linda's question, how big is a whale? Linda, that is an excellent question because whales are all over the map when it comes to size. The biggest whale is the blue whale, and it's almost 100 feet long. That's like 2 city buses back to back. So if you've ever ridden the bus, just imagine that bus plus another one. That's how long that whale is. It's super long. The smallest whale is the pygmy sperm whale. It's only about 7 feet long, which is still pretty big, but it's the smallest whale. And then if you include toothed whales, like dolphins, in your assessment of whale sizes, the smallest one of those is an endangered species called the vaquita. Vaquitas are small little porpoises that live in the Gulf of Mexico, and they're actually only 4 to 5 feet long, which if you're 6 years old, because you're in kindergarten, that is about your size. It's about the average size of a 6-year-old. So whales range in size from literally the biggest mammal ever known on Earth, the blue whale, to this teeny tiny little porpoise in the Gulf of Mexico. They're so cool. They're so diverse. There's so many whales that you almost never hear about because we don't know too much about them, like beaked whales and all these little different dolphin species and narwhals. It's hard to study them because they live at really deep depths. So we don't understand very much about them, and you probably don't see them in nature documentaries. But the world is full of whales, and they're all different sizes. So that was a great question.
Hi guys, my name is Joe and I'm a marine scientist who works here in Santa Barbara, and today I'll be telling you about how jellyfish sting. So what happens is the jellyfish have their tentacles, and those tentacles are lined with lots of little tiny pockets, and inside of those pockets there's kind of like a jack-in-the-box. You know how you wind up a jack-in-the-box and the spring compresses and then this clown head explodes out of the box and scares you? Well, it's a little bit like that, except instead of a clown head at the end of this spring that pops out, it's actually a harpoon. It's something that sticks into you. So there's all these tiny little harpoons wound on really tiny springs, and when the jellyfish brushes against something that either it wants to eat or something that it thinks wants to eat it, those harpoons explode out and stick into whatever it's brushed against. Now, that's not enough to actually sting you. That's just enough to poke you. And if you go down to the tide pools, you can find sea anemones, which are related to jellyfish, and they wave their tentacles in the air. If you touch them, you can feel them stick to you, but they don't actually sting you. That's just those harpoons sticking into your finger. But to actually sting you, what they need to do is they need to get through your skin, and then there's actually a toxin. There's a poison that's on the end of those springs, and that is what can actually hurt you and sting you. But luckily for us, most jellyfish in the ocean can't actually hurt us very badly. They're more interested in stinging the little fish and things that they want to eat that they come across. So I hope now you've learned a little bit about how jellyfish sting.
Hi, Olivia. Good question. You're asking, why do otters like to live in the seaweed? Well, otters like to be in seaweed for the same reason that I like to hang out in my kitchen. I like to cook, I like to eat, and everything that I need to eat is in my kitchen. So otters hang out in the seaweed a lot because all of their food is in the seaweed or in the kelp forest here in California. Otters eat purple sea urchins and clams most often, and those animals live in the seaweed, so otters like to hang around them so that they'll always have a snack on hand.
Hi everyone, my name's Kai. I'm a marine biologist, which means I study life in the ocean. I'm going to answer some of your questions today. First one I'm going to answer is, how long can a whale hold its breath? And Pietro is the one who asked this question. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple different kinds of whales, not only how long they can hold their breath, but a couple other things about them as well. First one we have is a humpback whale. Humpback whales can grow up to 50 feet long, which is about the length of a school bus, which is pretty big. They can hold their breath up to 45 minutes, which is a pretty long time. I don't know about you, but I can only hold my breath for about 1 minute. They can dive to 700 feet, which is pretty deep, but it's not the deepest that a whale can dive. Now, blue whales can only hold their breath for about 20 minutes, but they can dive to 1,700 feet below the surface of the ocean, which is pretty impressive. Sperm whales are really impressive to me. I think the most impressive. Although they're smaller than humpback whales and blue whales, coming in at only 40 feet long, they can hold their breath for 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half. I think that's pretty crazy. They can also dive to over 3,000 feet, which is pretty mind-boggling. I think that's pretty crazy. And when they're down there diving that deep, what they're doing is they're hunting for giant squid. So they eat some of the biggest things in the ocean.
So the question that I'm going to answer is, why do whales have a blowhole? Okay, so here's what I need you guys to do. I need everybody to take your hand and put it on your face like this and feel around. Did you guys find your mouth right here? Okay, wonderful. Now feel around again. Does anybody find, what's this thing? What's this right here in the middle of your face? It's a nose. That's right. So we are humans. We are mammals. Whales are also mammals, and they are animals. And we as humans are animals too. So we can breathe through our mouth. Everybody show me. And we can breathe through our nose. Show me. Wonderful. Now whales can actually breathe through their mouth and their nose also. But their nose doesn't look like our nose. Their nose is their blowhole. So when you see a whale make a big blow, it's actually them breathing out of their nose. It's not water, it's air. Isn't that so cool?
Why is seaweed slimy? Well, even though a piece of seaweed looks like one living thing, it's actually home to a lot of tiny microscopic living things called bacteria that help it grow. Humans have bacteria living on us too, and they're good for us. For seaweed, bacteria can help them get food from the water and fight off sickness. So seaweed is slimy because the bacteria that lives on it likes to live in slime. Seaweeds make slime so that the bacteria it likes have somewhere to live.
Hi everyone, my name is Claire. I'm a marine scientist and I'm here to answer Santi's question on how big sea turtles get. So sea turtles will start off pretty small when they're born. The baby sea turtles will be about the size of your hand or maybe your palm, so you can imagine the size that way. And these little guys are going to have to work really hard in the first few months of their lives, eating a lot of food and getting as strong and big as they can to survive in the ocean. And so they will gain a lot of weight over a short period of time and become super powerful. Some species of sea turtles, this species called the leatherback, those sea turtles will get up to 1,000 pounds sometimes. So they can grow into pretty powerful creatures in the ocean. And yeah, that's how big sea turtles get. Thanks.
The next question I'm going to answer comes from Waylon, who asked, what's the coolest animal of the dark depths of the ocean? This is one of my favorite questions because I love looking at and thinking about life in the deep sea. It's just so weird and interesting. So I'm going to show you some videos of some of my favorite creatures from the deep, dark depths of the ocean. This first one is called a Pacific barrel-eye fish. Now what's interesting about this fish, even though it only grows to be about 6 inches long, is that if you look here, these are not its eyes. I didn't like when I poked it. These are not its eyes. Those are actually its nose. Its eyes are inside this transparent skull that it has. You can see here, the eyes a little bit closer up. And they're very sensitive to light because there isn't much of that down in the deep, dark depths. The next critter I'm going to show you is called the comb jelly. You can find these in shallow waters, but they're mostly in the deep ocean. What's cool about these guys is these little fin-like structures that you see moving along their sides. They're like little fins that help them move through the water. But when light hits these fins as they move, it actually turns them into this cool rainbow effect. This is the giant squid. And for a very long time, they didn't have any video footage of it. But just a few years ago, they were able to capture it on video. You can see it just starting to put its tentacles into view and spread them out. Giant squid can grow up to 60 feet long, which is longer than a school bus. Anyway, those are my favorite creatures of the deep. I hope you enjoyed them as well.
Hey, Miss May's class. My name is Austin. I'm a friend of May's. I'm here at the beach in Dana Point, and I'm answering the question, why can't we drink seawater? So as you probably know, seawater has a ton of salt in it, and our bodies actually can't process that much salt. So if you eat a salty bag of potato chips, for instance, you need to drink fresh water to get all that salt out of you. It comes out of you in pee. I know that's a little gross, but that's how we get rid of salt. So if you drink a bunch of this seawater here, then your body isn't going to be able to get rid of that salt because it's not going to have enough fresh water to make the pee to get it out of you. So in conclusion, if you drink seawater, it also tastes kind of bad. But if you drink seawater, your body can't get rid of the salt. The salt stays in your body and you get dehydrated, which means you will get really thirsty.
Hey guys, my name's Georgina Stone and I am a marine biologist, and I'm here to answer some of your guys' really awesome questions. So one of them is, why do fish lay so many eggs? And there's a lot of different answers for it, but one of the main things is that fish, like reptiles, sometimes they don't actually bring up their babies like mom and dad do. So it's not like mammals when they have to stick around and actually take care of their babies and teach their babies how to become a dolphin or how to become a sea lion. It's that there's no nurturing, and that a fish, when it's an egg, it doesn't have anybody to take care of it. So fish will lay hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of eggs, so that there is a possibility that out of those hundreds of eggs, maybe one or two, or a very small number of them, can actually make it all the way to adulthood. So that's the short and quick version of why they lay so many eggs.
Hi guys, my name is Joe, and today I'm going to be telling you about why sharks have fins. So sharks have fins for a bunch of different reasons. Their fins can all be different shapes and sizes, but for the most part, it comes down to helping them to get where they're going. So the first fin, the fin on top, is called the dorsal fin. And what that helps the shark do is to keep from spinning in circles while it swims. If you think about a shark, it's kind of shaped like a football. And what happens when you throw a football just right? It goes in a perfect spiral. Now, if you add a fin on the top, think of it kind of like a paper airplane. That little fin on the bottom, when you throw it, how does it fly? It flies straight. It doesn't spin in a circle anymore. So that's what the dorsal fin does for the shark. It also helps beachgoers know when there's sharks around, but that's not why they have them. That's just an added bonus. The other fins that sharks have on their sides are called the pectoral fins, and those kind of act like the wings of an airplane. They can help the shark to steer and to turn, again, to get where they're going. It's pretty hard to be a top predator in the oceans if you can't get where you're trying to swim. Now, the last fin that I'm going to talk about, again, there's some others, but you might not even think it's called a fin, but it is. It's the caudal fin in the back, and that's the shark's tail. And that swishes back and forth, and that's what helps the shark get up to great speeds that they need to be some of the biggest, baddest predators in the ocean. Now, as long as we're talking about sharks, and I have you, I wanted to show you something really cool that I have in my personal collection. This is actually a megalodon tooth, which is a fossilized shark tooth from millions and millions of years ago. And this shark was as big as 3 great white sharks put together. So Thank goodness that's not in our ocean anymore, but there's all sorts of cool treasures like this to be found out there in our oceans.
Thank you for watching, and a big special thank you to all of the scientists and researchers for their amazing responses. I hope that this answered a few of your ocean questions, and I look forward to seeing you next week for some more learning. Bye, kindergartners.